it is all over. France are the champions of the World Cup. And by the way, as I'm doing this World Cup, I'm still actually watching the trophy presentation, and they have just handed out the young player of the tournament to Mbappe, which is well deserved. And they also hand out the Golden Ball to Modric, which means that this is the second World Cup in a row that the players that won the Golden Ball has lost the final. Because remember, back in 2014, Messi won it, and Argentina, of course, lost that final 1-0 to Germany. And by the way, as they hand out the silver medal to Croatia, it is actually pouring right now in Moscow right now. And there was also a threat that this game was potentially be delayed because of thunder. Thank goodness it wasn't, because if it was delayed, then I was worried that it will delay in some sort of time where we're probably not going to. I won't be able to watch the rest of the final because I still have to go to a baseball game after this. And I mean, look at that! It is just pouring right now as they do the trophy presentation. I mean, they're handing out the silver medal to Croatia now. But talk about this match. Well, there was definitely a lot of controversy, and I think throughout this match, it will really talked about for many years about these first two goals that France have scored. And a lot of people will be angry about these first two goals that scored by France because they shouldn't probably have not counted. And I do agree the first goal probably shouldn't have counted because Griezmann basically dived to make that free kick. Like, it's pretty clear that he went full Neymar and decided to dive to get an advantage. And that certainly is something that every football fans do not want to see, especially in that kind of final. And I get why there's people that are angry about that. And by the way, this goal that turns out to be an own goal to Mandzukic, I don't know why they said it's an own goal. I mean, it was this goal, when Griezmann struck it, it was on target. And yet, even though Mandzukic did kind of get the last flick on this free kick, that should have not been an own goal. I mean, holy crap. It looks like a monsoon right now, the way the World Cup, the trophy presentation had begun. I mean, I can't believe. Imagine if they play in that kind of weather. And this game would have kept continuing if we would have been right now in extra time, and they would be playing in a monsoon. And if this monsoon continues, then this penalty kick shootout will be in that kind of weather, which will definitely be not very good. But talk about going back to this match, again, that free kick, I don't think that should have not been a free kick, and clearly Griezmann kind of died for it. And then there is probably, besides that as a controversial play, this is probably the most controversial play with the penalty and the Perisic handball. And by the way, Croatia actually did get an equalizer a couple of minutes later, and everybody thought that this just restored justice from what happened to that early France goal, which many people said that it shouldn't have counted. But then you got also this handball by Perisic, which there's going to be a lot of debate, no doubt. And I'll even let you guys in the comments below to debate whether or not if this was a penalty or not. For me, I think it's a penalty because I think, first of all, it looked like Perisic's arm was in an unnatural position. And I understand that he did kind of jump up for it, and that when you jump up, your hand kind of raise up and then it has to kind of go down. But it kind of looked like his hand, when he brought down, it kind of looked like it was in an unnatural position. And that sometimes when you try to do that, you always get risks of when the ball does come to near you, and that your hand will accidentally slap into the ball. And I also understand that at some times that call is not given in some league games, and in a World Cup final like this, and they actually had to use VAR, which I'm glad that they actually used it. I'm glad the referee actually did look at it twice, because at this stage, if that is not the right call, then yeah, that would really reflect on on just how VAR is as a reputation. And VAR in this World Cup and as its reputation will always be kind of questioned, even with this Perisic handball kind of controversy, because there's been a lot of decision in this World Cup by VAR that at times it looks spot on, but at times it just look iffy. So that's going to be just a continued debate throughout these next couple of years when more league implement VAR and when more major tournaments started to implement VAR too. But for me, I think that's a handball. I know that some people will disagree with me on that, but I'll let you guys in the comments and I'll let you guys kind of debate whether or not if that's a handball or not. But at that point, it was 2-1, and then eventually Pogba, of all people, scoring an absolute strike of a goal to get the third goal for France. And then eventually, who else but Mbappe, who, he has been just incredible this tournament. And I'm actually a little bit surprised he didn't win the golden ball in this tournament. I mean, I know Modric has been incredible throughout this tournament, but Mbappe is just something else with this France team. And we are looking to a guy that could potentially be a future Ballon d'Or. And it's hard to believe, of all the best player in the world, in these next couple of years, if Mbappe can continue to do what he does, he will no doubt be named as one of the greatest of ever, and pretty much right next to where Pele is, because the difference between Mbappe and probably what Messi and Ronaldo is that they didn't win the World Cup. And I think if Mbappe does win that Champions League, he will definitely be kind of surpass what many people compare Messi and Ronaldo to Mbappe in the later years, which is that, Mbappe won a World Cup, Messi and Ronaldo never did. And some will argue that, Mbappe was in a better French team. Well, Messi, he could have won it with the Argentina team just a couple of years ago. And right now, they're actually just lifted the World Cup right there, which is very nice. And you can see the whole French team are in jubilation move because, when you win the World Cup, that is got to be the best feeling in the world. But certainly going back to what I said about Mbappe, I really think this is a guy that's going to win a couple of Ballon d'Ors if he can continue the way that he is performing. And then just to add the game a little bit extra favorite, Croatia did get one back, and basically Hugo Lloris went full Karius. I mean, Lloris basically trying to dribble out. He was trying to be too cute and trying to dribble out one of the Croatian player, which turns out to be Mandzukic. Mandzukic basically intercept that kind of dribble from Lloris, and that one went into the back of the net. And immediately Twitter just immediately compare Hugo Lloris to Loris Karius because, of what Karius does. It just feels like every time when there's a goalkeeping mistakes in this tournament, it's always going to come back to Karius. And although it's a little bit harsh on Karius and the fact that he is kind of like the memes in terms of whenever a goalkeeper makes a mistake, I mean, that's what happened when you can see 2 goals in the Champions League and do 2 stupid kind of goals in the Champions League. You will always kind of remember for that. But overall, will I think France was deserved winner? Yeah, I think they were. I mean, I know if you look at throughout this whole game, Croatia was definitely the better team. I mean, they really bolstered that midfield in the first half and also in the second half, and France at times was just kind of like holding on for dear life. But that's kind of what France have been so far this tournament. France have not looked comfortable at most of the time doing this tournament, and they've been trying to go with that kind of negative defensive kind of play and then go on the counter attack with Mbappe in the center of that attack. And No, that's exactly what they did. This was a very typical French kind of performance so far in the World Cup. And that is, they don't really just, I mean, when they play against a big team, they don't just completely dominate them. They will always find a way to just counterattack and find a way to score the goals there. And, certainly for Croatia, I think, despite the fact that they lose this final, and certainly it's definitely heartbreaking for a lot of Croatian fans, you got to be proud of what this Croatian team has done. I mean, this team, how far they got into this tournament, and I know some people will say, well, they got the easy road to the final. Yeah, when you get into a World Cup final, and when you were able to do it like what they did, and how they were able to come back 3 times in this World Cup and have to play in penalty, well, not free penalty, they play in 2 penalty kick shootout, and also free extra time to get into this stage. Yeah, that is definitely determination, and it definitely show that in this game they were playing with a lot of passion, and that they really want to win this World Cup. But ultimately, I really think when France did score that 3rd and 4th goal, that was really the final nail in the coffin. I mean, Croatia basically kind of gave up. They kind of ran out of gas, knowing that they probably won't come back to it. And even with the 2nd goal by Mandzukic, I still don't really think that Croatia is going to score 2 against this French defense. And yeah, at the end of the day, congratulations to France for winning the World Cup. And sooner or later, my French jersey is going to get that World Cup badge, just like the Germany jersey that I have right now. And maybe I'll think about buying that in the near future. And yeah, that is pretty much it for this review. And that is pretty much it for this World Cup too. It's been a month of me kind of like doing these previews and review. And certainly, in some way, I'm kind of glad that it's kind of over, because, it was really incredibly hard to do these previews and review every single day, and that, it really kind of made me very exhausted almost at the end of this tournament. But we made it. We were able to cover every single game. We were able to talk about every single games. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and yeah, I will see you guys next time.